Thanks everyone. Time to play a bigger game. So what is bigger game? What is playing a bigger game? In fact, before I answer that question, why don't you guys answer that question? Have a chat at your table. What does play a bigger game mean to you? Have a quick chat. I'll come down, or Steve will bring a microphone around. We'll get your thoughts about what play a bigger game is. So what do you think? Does it mean stretching the boundaries? Does it mean, having a crack, doing the stuff that scares the pants off you? Not a good idea to say crack and pants in the same sentence. What is it for you guys? Steve, let's get a couple of... What does play a bigger game mean for you? Stick your hand up. I'll point. Yep, good.
We said think outside the square and achieve think outside the square and then actually achieve your goal.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Good. One down the front here, I think.
Go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home. I like the way you think. And what about somebody from over here? We'll take you because you pointed.
I didn't say anything at the table, but for me it's the more important things in life rather than just business or just life, but just trying to work out what's actually important to you.
Yeah, good answers, good answers. And we're going to go down the path of talking about everything that I know about playing a bigger game. But before we do, I've got a question for you. Why do we play small? Why do we play little? Why do we not do enough, have a go, put things in? Well, even worse, why do we blame the world for us playing small? We blame the world because we've stuffed up or messed up or the way that we show up.
Do you think it's the tall poppy syndrome in Australia?
There could be a tall poppy syndrome in Australia. It's See, I think all of those things are right. And as a speaker, I can come here and tell you that I've had this lovely, smooth ride on the journey to success. Every time I turned a corner, it was filled with diamonds and gold, and it was just so easy. It was just the smoothest ride. But that's not true. The truth is I've made mistakes, I've stuffed up, I've done the wrong thing, bad things have happened. And there's a great Australian singer. Anybody heard of Paul Kelly? He wrote a song about me. It goes like this. Who knows that song? Anybody done any dumb things? Yeah? I love listening to my intro because it makes me sound really, really good. But the reality is I've done some dumb things. Like as a young guy, in a moment of madness, I ran onto the Sydney cricket ground and stole a stump from a World Series cricket match. My mates thought it was absolutely hilarious. And the police and my parents, not so much. I ended up in the back of a paddy wagon over at Milton's Point in Sydney one night because a couple of my mates had got into some trouble and the police had put them in the back of the paddy wagon, and I decided that it would be a really good idea to climb on the back of the paddy wagon and let them out. And a couple of minutes later I was launched headfirst into the back of the paddy wagon to join those guys. And I was removed from a role as a CEO of a company that I spent 6 years building into something really successful. It's a business that I really loved. And I ended up in a conflict with one of the board members. And I was removed from the role, ended up taking the company to court. And it went on for 2 years, and it was traumatic and, a pain in the backside. But I could have solved it 2 weeks after it happened if I just hadn't have been too proud to shake the hand of the chairman of the board. So 2 years of pain that could have been solved in 2 weeks. Court cases, not one in the end, but was it worth 2 years of pain? No. So I've done some dumb things, I've done some really stupid things, some things that I'm not proud of. And I played tennis once with a barrister's BMW. Probably doesn't get much dumber than that. He didn't think it was funny. So we do some dumb things, but we have some bad things happen as well. Things that we don't have any control over. As a young guy in my 20s, I went around Australia on a motorbike with my best mate, Rowdy. And we stayed in a 3-man tent. I don't know why they call them 3-man tents. You can't get 3 men in a 3-man tent, I'm telling you. But that's what we did for 6 months, travelled around Australia, had the absolute time of our lives. Came back into Sydney and we headed off in our different directions. So I was headed up to Tweed Heads, where I was playing footy at the time, and Crowe headed home to Cooma. On the way home, got killed by a bloke drunk in a car. And I lost my best mate. Now, guys, you would understand this, right? Guys in life generally only have one best mate. It takes us so long to open ourselves up to somebody, to understand them and know them at the depth that you girls do. Like, you can have 67 best BFFs, us guys don't understand how you do that. So for us, we mainly just have one, and I'd lost mine, and I was a bit devastated about that, really devastated about that. But I moved to Tweeders and I started to play footy, and I made friends with another guy called Berkey. I did the unusual thing. I found another best mate, and we got along fine. I had the time of our lives, and for reasons that I'll never understand and his family will never understand, Berkey took his own life. And I pulled down the shutters on the world. I didn't go out. I didn't hang out. I didn't connect. I didn't spend time with anybody. And that was probably the worst time of my entire life. Sometimes I didn't want to play the game at all. But that's what happens in life. The point is, it's not a perfect journey, it's not a perfect ride. It's a little bit all over the place, and we make bad decisions and we have bad things happen. But here's what I can tell you, absolutely. If you can get some focus, you can dig your heels in, you can play a bigger game. You can bounce back. Not only bounce back, but you can bounce forward from the bad decisions and the bad things that happen to play a much bigger game. In fact, here's the reality, right? We're hardwired to play a bigger game. It's in our DNA. Have a look at the people at your table. They're amazing, right? They're the latest, greatest model in a long line of ancestors that have survived fire and famine and floods and plagues and disasters. You're the latest, greatest model in a long line of people that have brought you to where you are today. And it's wired into our DNA that you are the person that should take your business forward, your family forward, and yourself forward. It's part of who we are and what we do. And before I start to tell you about who I am and what I do, I'd like to know a little bit more about you guys. So can you stand up for me? So I want to find out where you were born and raised. So if you were born and raised in Wollongong, can you sit down for me? Only 2 locals in the crowd. That's pretty amazing. If you were born and raised in New South Wales, can you sit down for me? There's all the people who know nothing about football. If you're from the fabulous Sunshine State, can you sit down for me? Only a couple of banana vendors. From Victoria, the Mexicans? No Mexicans. Western Australia? South Australia? One Mexican. South Australia, Northern Territory, ACT. Oh. All right, that's Australia done. Tasmania! Everybody forgets Tasmania. Anybody here from Tassie? One person from Tassie. Across the ditch, our New Zealand friends. Oh, now we're going to struggle a little bit. If you are from the United States of America, can you sit down for me? Canada, South America, England, Asia, South Africa, Russia, Guatemala, Greece. Yeah. No, where are you from?
I'm just all over Australia.
All over Australia. You should have been sitting up, sitting down, sitting up, sitting down.
I was born in New South Wales, but I went to 18 schools and so about 6 of those states.
Really? Expelled 18 times. That's unreal. Yeah, and you're from?
I was born in Lebanon, but I was still raised in Warner.
All right, awesome. Yeah, no, good.
I was born in Iran, grew up in Iran, and I came to Australia in the age of 23.
Awesome, fantastic, and lucky last.
I was born in Turkey, and I came here when I was 2.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
So you've been here like 16 years? No? Give me a round of applause. Thank you. I was born and raised in a fabulous place up on the northern tablelands of New South Wales, a place called Guyra. Anybody heard of Guyra? Oh, a few people heard of Guyra. One of the coldest places in Australia. It's a fantastic place to grow up. This is the main street of Guyra in peak hour. It's not much happens in Guyra. A good place to grow up because it's the sort of place where you don't have to lock your doors or lock your car and everybody knows everybody else, and it's sometimes not a good thing that everybody knows everybody else's business, but good place to grow up. And Guyra is famous for 3 things. So it's famous for the Guyra ghost that nobody's ever seen. But you can buy a T-shirt with the Guyra ghost on it. It's got nothing. It's famous for the highest caravan park in Australia that nobody ever stays in. But it's probably most famous for the most inspiring football team in the world. The Guyra football team is called the Mighty Spuds. Those of you from overseas, a spud is a potato. So when you run out onto the paddock to do battle in the mud and the blood and the sweat and the tears, the emblem that sits over your heart is a potato on legs. Does not get more inspiring than that. You sit in the dressing shed at half time, you're down 54-0, you look at that potato and go, I'm going to play a bigger game. I was captain of the football team, which made me Mr. Potato Head. Great place to grow up, Guyra. I started my first business in Guyra. So me and my mates used to go up to the local football ground, and people would park their cars nose in at the football ground, watch the footy, and they'd drink soft drinks. When they finished with the soft drink, they'd just drop it out of their car. And then me and my band of merry friends would fight all the other kids in town for those bottles. And once we had an armful, we'd zip off down to the main street of Guyra, where you saw that there were just 3 shops. And we would trade those bottles into Nick at Nick's Cafe for 5 cents each. Buy a packet of chips, bottle of Coke, head back up to the football ground, go through the same exercise again. That was my first business, making a bit of money, having a bit of fun. We're walking out of Nick's Greek cafe one day. My mate Cloddy McLean says to me, "Hey, Rowdy!" Cloddy is not all there, you know. He's comes up with the worst ideas. He goes, "I've got an idea. Here we go. What is it? He's gone, I know what Nick does with those bottles. I've gone, yeah, well, what's the point? He's gone, he puts them out the back. A couple of entrepreneurs in the room here, eh? So we did what you thought we did. We went and sat in the gutter, throwing rocks at the telephone pole for a little while, round the back, boost your mate over the fence, pass the bottles over, back around the front, throw them in the Nick, 5 cents each, he put them out the back, we go around the back, jump over the fence. First shortcut in business, how easy is this? We're making truckloads and doing half the work. When it was my turn to go over the fence, I'm there and I'm passing the bottles over and I pass the bottle over and it goes clunk on the ground. Idiots. Pick up the next one, pass it over, clunk on the ground. Pass the next one over, clunk on the ground. So I get a milk crate, drag it over, hop up in the milk crate, look over the top of the fence. Standing on the other side, Sergeant Jeff Wilkins. This was back in the days when policemen were huge. Like he was 6 foot 19 inches tall. 2 pick handles across the shoulders. Size 47 R.M. Williams boots. You know how I know? Sergeant Wilkins gave me the best lecture I've ever had in my life. He chased all my mates away, opened the passenger door of the police car and said, "Get in." I rolled my eyes, got in the car, thought, here we go. But he didn't take me down to the police station, or he didn't do the thing that was worse than that, take me down to the bowling club where my dad was. He said to me, "You know what? I've been watching you. Rowdy, you are a natural born leader. Your mates would follow you around town and get into any mischief that you want them to. And I know you get into quite a bit of mischief." He said, "I've talked to your school teachers. They tell me you're pretty clever. And if you actually went to school, you'd do it all right. I've talked to your footy coach. He tells me you're a bloody good footballer. And if you went to training, he'd be able to put you into the first grade team. But you just don't turn up. You don't show up. You just do the stupid things, the dumb things. And if you keep doing the dumb things, you and I are going to butt heads. But with a little bit of effort, you could be something in this town. You could be a good footballer, you could be a business owner, you could go places, you could be more than this 800-person potato farming community." He leaned over, opened the passenger door and said, "Get out." And I thought, that was easy. Off down the street, bloody coppers, rolling my eyes. But I thought, over the next few days, I thought, what if he was right? What if I could play a bigger game? So I started to go to school and did that for 18 months, become Dux of Gyra Central School. Pretty cool. Before you start to think he must be really smart, only 50 kids there. I started to go to footy training and I got to play in the representative team, played for Northern Division, played for New South Wales, went on, got a contract to play for the North Sydney Bears and moved to Sydney. Got a scholarship to go to university with Telstra, came to Sydney to do that and it was a bit of an adventure. And when I was going to college with all these other guys, they were all from the bush, or most of them were from the bush, you know, and we're at North Strathfield and we'd finish college and we'd go over to Platform 9 at Strathfield to have a beer after college and we'd talk about our hopes and dreams. And, you know, my mates would talk about, well, when you come from the country, your hopes and dreams are a little bit different, right? So my mates would talk about wanting to drive home in a brand new ute. That would be really cool. And I used to talk about wanting to be a millionaire. And they'd look at me funny and roll their eyes and go, who does he think he is? But I finished college, went around Australia on a motorbike, came back, went to Tweed Heads, started playing footy in Tweed Heads, working for Telstra in Tweed Heads. While I was there, part of Telstra was privatised, a part that puts big telephone systems into banks and hospitals and universities. And I left Telstra the day that happened to start my own communications company in competition to Telstra. I worked my guts out. I mean, 70 hours a week, no sick leave, no holidays, just work. And managed to retire at the ripe old age of 34. Anybody like to retire at 34? Anybody too late? So there's a few problems. I know you're not going to believe this, but there's a few problems with being retired at 34. Because I had a dream to be retired by the time I was 40. That's why I was working so hard, And so to do it, 34, overachiever. And all I wanted to do was lie around on the beach and play golf. So that's exactly what I would do. I'd go to the beach in the morning, and in the afternoon I would go and play golf. You can't see any problems, can you? The problem is, the only other people who can play golf every day of the week are 74. And I learned enough about diseases in 3 months to become a doctor, I reckon. So I was bored out of my brain. I was headhunted to run a big hospitality business, turned that around, made it into a success, got invited to events like this to talk about this success and realised that you could earn an income from speaking. And people often say to me, Rowdy, why do you still work? And I will work for the rest of my life. The thing about working so hard and going so flat out to play a bigger game is that it gives you choice. And that's where my expertise lies, right? My expertise lies in the ability to put a line in the sand in my future and do whatever it takes to get across that line. And so now that it's not the money that excites me, it's the ability to make choices, to choose who I work with, when I work, how often I work, but more importantly, the projects or the charities or the causes that I can get involved in that feed my soul. It's a fantastic thing to come along and talk to you guys. I'd heard about Business Breakthrough. Some friends of Steve's had known Steve really, really well. So when he asked me to come along, I said, absolutely. I could do a whole heap of other things, but I'm really pleased to be here with you guys. And I'm hoping that this conversation this morning might be just the thing that helps you put a line in the sand in your future and then gets you to do whatever it takes to get across that line. So I wrote the book on Play Big Again. This is the second edition, just came out on the 25th of January. Same as the old book, but a new cover and a bit of new stuff inside. And I love standing up here and looking at your smiling faces. I love it. I love watching the stuff that you did with Steve when we first walked in, when you're talking about yesterday and your business and your personal success. And I love the fact that you have no idea. You have no idea of what you're capable of. You have no idea of what lies in the future. You just don't know. And I love standing here going, if you only knew where you would be if you do the things that it takes to play a bigger game, if you only knew where you would be in 5 years' time, you would shake your head. Because I stand here and shake my head that, I've spoken on stages in New York, I've got a book that's been sold in 7 countries. I pinch myself sometimes because I just didn't know. And every great discovery of mankind started with those 3 words. I don't know. I don't know. So don't be afraid to go, I don't know. Because when we grew up as kids, you go to school and the worst thing you could say when the teacher asks you a question was, I don't know. And then your parents were giving you a hard time about this and that and what went on and what happened, and you would say anything rather than say, I don't know. And then you go to work and your boss goes, what's happening with this, what's happening with that, what's going on there? And you're afraid to say, I don't know. But I think that's the best state to be in. So I want you to just sit back a little and do this right now. Sit back, breathe in, just relax. And just tell yourself, it's okay not to know. At least for the next 90 minutes, it's okay not to know. Because when you go, it's okay not to know, you open up a whole new world of possibility. Because your brain goes, oh, well, I'll let stuff in. If it's okay not to know, I'll let stuff in. So I hope you found a page in the workbook where we're going to talk about playing a bigger game. So turn the person beside you, give them a high five and say, let's play. So every successful person I know, and I've spent ages and ages working with and looking at what makes people successful. And there's two things that every successful person does. The first one is they dare to dream. Because we live in this world where people shut down your dreams, Don't shout them out, don't talk about them, just keep them to yourselves, don't get too big for your boots, the tall poppy syndrome that we were talking about before. So we shut down these dreams. We're told by our parents that to be seen and not heard, and it's just stupid. So the first thing we need to do is be able to step into being able to dare to dream. We don't let the world stop us thinking about a positive future. And the second thing is they're bold enough to begin the game. Not talk about it, not think about it, but actually get in and do it. They understand that action precedes clarity. So let's talk about daring to dream a little bit. So I think it's absolutely vital that we dare to dream, because it's dreams that drag you into the future. You show me anybody that has no dreams, they're going nowhere, right? They've got nothing going on, they've got no personality, they've got no energy. So you've got to have the dream, you've got to have that dream in the future that drags you forward, sometimes kicking and screaming, but nevertheless drags you along. And part of having dreams is also, I think, as kids, we dared to dream far more than we do as adults, right? So as kids, we're always excited about something, a birthday or Easter or Christmas or a party or an event and it would change throughout the day. We'd just get excited about it. I live next door to a family where they got a little guy, Tom, and he just started school this year, right? And I saw him the day before he went to school. I said, Tommy, going to school, eh? You excited? He's going, oh yeah. So what are you excited about? He's gone, math, woohoo! Seriously? When was the last time you went into your office and said to somebody, what are you up today? They go, working on an Excel spreadsheet. We just don't do it. Why don't we do it? Why don't we step into that excitement of adventure and fun? Crazy, eh? That'll be fun tomorrow when you go into the office. They say, how was the business breakthrough? And you go, I think the other thing is we all need heroes and mentors, people that we admire and look up to, and people that we can emulate. And right now in your world, who are your heroes? Have a chat at your table. Who are the heroes? Alrighty, who's got a hero? Oh, Steve, just grab somebody. Let's not do the volunteer thing. I think you're all in the game, right?
I'd like to introduce Liz Russell. Hero?
My mother, I think.
Your mother. Yeah. So your mother inspires you to play a bigger game. She's a hero, and you want to be like her, or even better than her.
Well, she passed away when she was 47, but I found her very inspiring in the sense that she came to Australia in 1960, not speaking the language. In 2 years, they owned their own home, had a car. Then I came along, really sort of grew 2 plans. When she passed away, she owned 4 properties and had her own business. So I don't think that's...
How awesome is that? Give that a round of applause. That's a bigger game, right? Compared to that, we're doing it easy. Yeah. Good. Another one over this side of the room, someone we haven't had yet.
Hey guys, this is Melissa's sister, Karen.
Younger sister.
I'd say my husband, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. Is he here?
No,
No.
he hasn't got time for this. he's a workaholic.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what do you admire about him? Why is he a hero?
Oh, he's just really out there. He's just got so much energy and so much drive all the time,
Awesome.
doesn't he?
Good stuff. One more, Steve, I reckon.
My one's a little bit, because originally I didn't think much of this business. One, it's Bill Gates. But I belong to Rotary. Rotary is a massive international organisation. Is that better? Sorry, I belong to Rotary. It's an international non-profit organisation. One of the biggest things that we're just about to achieve is World Without Polio. So it's been a really big thing in the organisation. The reason that I now look at Bill Gates and Melinda Gates as a success is that for every dollar that we donate to polio eradication, they donate too.
Right.
So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has made a huge difference as well.
Awesome. Round of applause for that. That's great. Great. A video just went up on YouTube last couple of weeks, Bill Gates talking about the fact that we should tax robots to create a service economy in the future. Great idea and a great interview. It's worth watching. Growing up, I had a hero, somebody that I looked up to and admired, and somebody I wanted to emulate. It was a comic book hero. I lived a sheltered life, right? But I absolutely loved Richie Rich because he had everything, you know. He had a butler, he had a helicopter, a gold scooter, a talking dog, and every time a new comic book would come out, I would just devour it. And I didn't know it at the time, but we were poor. And we lived in a little 2-bedroom house. My parents slept in 1 bedroom. And in the other bedroom, me and my brother shared a double bed, and my sister slept in a single bed on the other side of the room. And we used to go to school and go to there'd be an excursion on, and you had to take your money in to go on the excursion. And I never got to go because my mum never had the money, and so I had to hang back at school with the kids in the lower class, which was pretty ordinary. Guyra had just 1 butcher, and being a little country town, they used to extend credit to people. And every now and again, my mum would park down the street from the butcher's and say to me, "Oh, can you just go in and ask him for a kilo of chops?" And it never hit me that she was doing it because she'd run out of credit. And the butcher wouldn't say to a little boy standing there going, can I have a kilo of chops, please? Wouldn't tell him no. So that's how we would get our food. I just didn't know that we didn't have any money. And so I just had this desire to do something, create something, build something that for some reason my brothers and sisters never got. But I just can't believe where I've ended up. I just can't believe that I've been able to achieve the stuff that I've been able to achieve. And here's the point there. If you have a dream, and you scratch away at it, never give up. Continue on, despite the ups and downs and the difficulties and the hard times and the good times. You just keep at it. You'll be amazed at where you are 5 years from now. Particularly if you play the game in an environment like this. Instead of hanging out on your own, you come and participate in things where you learn and grow and develop. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we need to be bold enough to begin, to get into the game. Because most of us never experience success because we just won't play. We want everything to be perfect and right and just spot on before we make the effort. And the world moves way too fast now for that to happen. If you're not prepared to get in the game and give it a go now, you're just going to get left behind because the person at the next table is, the person at the next business is, the person down the street, the kid coming up through the ranks, they're going to play. While you're sitting there trying to make it all pan out, they're going to get in the game. So in your book, you've got this little graph, right? So let's talk about this. 2 axes, purpose, and the other one is taking action. So when you are giving it everything but have no idea what you want to do, you're lost. When you are doing nothing and have no idea what you want to do, you're just plain lazy. And the guy who lives next door to me, or lived next door to me for a little while, his name's Paul. His parents used to come to me and go, "Rowdy, can you do something with Paul? He's just lazy. He's got no idea what he wants to do and he's doing nothing." In fact, I think Paul was not lazy, he was a little bit hazy because he's smoking a bit too much hoochie coochie. In year 11, going nowhere. And I talked with him and talked with him and I just couldn't get through. And then one day I had a big, long conversation about daring to dream. And he was in a pretty good mood. I don't think he was off with the fairies for a change. And I said, if you could do anything, what would it be? And he's gone, "Oh, I don't know. I've gone, "Come on, anything." He's going, "Oh, there's something I'd like to do." I'm going, "What is it?" He's going, "Oh, no, I probably couldn't do it." I go, "Come on, what is it?" And eventually he said, "I'd like to be a fighter pilot, flying FA-18s. I go, "That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That'd be pretty..." So we talked about what that looked like for a while. I said, what sort of score would you have to get at school to give yourself a shot at that? And he told me. I said, "So, all right, so you know the score, what would you need to do?" He said, "Oh, I'd have to bloody knuckle down and study hard." I said, "If you did that for 18 months and got that score, would it be worth it?" He's going, "I reckon it would be." So what would happen is I'd go off to work and Paul would come over from his house to my house and study all day. Studied flat out for 18 months, got a great score at HSC, went on to become a fighter pilot, flying FA-18s, and I saw him at Christmas time. He's currently in the Pacific teaching Americans how to land an FA-18 on an aircraft carrier. Pretty cool. I said, "What's it like? You know, that must be unbelievable." He said, "Rowdy, every time I hit the deck, I do this." Because he said it's like a fly trying to land on a cork in a bathtub. He said it's so hard. But he says it's amazing. If you are doing nothing but you're clear on your purpose, and generally speaking, they're the people I'm talking to, right? They're sitting in a room like this and they're pretty clear where they want to be, but they're not playing. They're not taking action about it, which is just crazy and dumb, right? I could sit down with each of you at morning tea at lunchtime and go, "What are your hopes and dreams?" And you'll go, "Boom, boom, boom." And I'll go, "What are you doing about it?" And quite often people are not doing enough. They've got this desire but don't do anything about it. And obviously, if you're clear on where you want to go and you're doing everything you can about it, you're building confidence. And confidence is the path to success. Let's check in with you guys. Somewhere in that workbook you've got a list that says more and another one that says less. So in your world right now, what do you want less of? Just write them down. I'll get you to call them out in a minute. This is a quick game. 10 seconds. All right, let's go. What do you want less of?
Debt.
Less debt. What do you want less of? Less solving other people's problems. That's a good one. What do you want less of?
Less demands on my time.
Less demands on your time. What do you want less of?
Kilos.
Less kilos. That's a good one. Alrighty, do the other list. What do you want more of?
Money.
Don't just write them down. Write them down. All right, shout it out. What do you want more of?
Fun.
More fun? More holidays? More money, somebody said earlier? More freedom?
Confidence.
More confidence? More chocolates? More sex? More hair? Me too. Mine's going as well. Here's the reality is, everything that you've just written down, everything that you say you want less of, it's absolutely, categorically, 100% possible. And everything that you want more of, 100% possible. I just don't get why you're not doing it. Why you haven't eliminated the stuff that you don't want and you're doing the stuff and getting the stuff that you want more of. It's just, I don't know, stupid. But I want to help you get there. So one of the transitions for me, so I shut myself down for 5 years. And the thing that got me back in the game was this, right? So I decided that I would come up with 3 core beliefs. The first one is, you are amazing. So do you guys get up in the morning, like look in the mirror, go, look at you. Woohoo. Not only good looking, but clever as well. Who does that? Oh, just me. You should. You bloody well should. And if you don't, you're crazy. Because you have a visual system in your head capable of detecting 1 million different colours. Got this funny odour sensor on the front of your face, capable of detecting around 10,000 different odours. Mine actually detects them around corners from playing footy. You've got 97,000 kilometres of capillaries pumping blood through your body. You've got a heart, a pump that beats in your chest 100,000 times a day without you thinking about it. You can run, jump, ride, fight, ride a bike. You can do things that no other creature on this planet is capable of. If you don't get out of bed in the morning, if you don't walk past these mirrors, if you don't look into the shop window and go, hey, what about you? You're crazy. I do it. I'm serious. I do it. The other core belief I have is that anything is possible. That there is no obstacle in life that we have not found a solution for. There are some that we haven't found a solution for yet. But, right now you can print on a printer a plastic 3D organ to replace an organ in your body. Is that unbelievable? We're on the verge of creating flying cars. It's incredible what we can do, what we can create, the things that are possible. I've been working in the United States for the last 2 years, which has just been out there. And everybody's been saying Donald Trump will not become president. Wrong. Anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. I believe in my lifetime we'll find a cure for cancer. Somebody out there is on the verge of doing it. But so often we shut people down and say that can't happen, it won't happen, it's not a good idea, don't go there, don't give that a shot. Bullshit, it's possible. And the third thing is, I have this belief that the world is an amazing place. An incredible, vibrant, fun, inspiring place to be. And my little brother Ken, I didn't necessarily have this belief one day, and I had lovely discussions with my little brother Ken about life. And we're having this deep discussion one Christmas about how wonderful the world is. And he said to me, come out the front. So we went out the front, and we're standing on the veranda, and a bird rose up out of the grass, circled around, not even flapping its wings, just riding on the air. and then swoops down and lands on this little tiny branch perfectly. He turned to me and said, and walked inside, if you look for the evidence that these things are true, they'll start to show up. Like, you know, when nobody in your family has ever had a child, but somebody falls pregnant in your family. And you go, oh, that's fantastic. And then every day for the next 9 months, you see pregnant people everywhere. Or you decide that you're going to buy a green V-dub Beetle because nobody's got one. And then you drive down the freeway and everybody's got one. Now, these haven't always been my beliefs. In fact, when I developed these beliefs, they weren't true. But I thought, what if I am amazing? What if anything is possible? What if the world is actually an incredible place? And then I started to look for the evidence, and it starts to show up. So what would your core beliefs be? I'll give you 30 seconds. Write down, just come up with one. What would be a core belief that you would love to have, or that you do have? Fantastic. Let's get a couple. You can do the rest of these later. You don't get them right the first time, but what was yours?
I was in agreement with anything's possible, but I also think there's nothing that we can't fix.
Anything's possible, nothing we can't fix. What about you?
Never give up.
Never, ever give up. What about you?
Be good to yourself and those around you.
Be good to yourself and those around you. See, when you start to have these core beliefs and share them with other people, they start to tell you stories about them. So when I go, people are amazing, people tell me about amazing stories, right? When I go, anything is possible, people tell me that we've got flying cars. When I think the world is an incredible place and people know that's my core belief, they start to share that information with me. And so my beliefs become stronger. And, you know, there's another, well, sort of belief, but it's a truth. You know, if you read the newspapers and magazines and watch the reality television shows and read the stuff that's posted on Facebook, you think that you were broken, that there's something wrong, that you're not strong enough, bright enough, smart enough, clever enough, pretty enough. And it's bullshit, you know. We were sold the quick fix, you know, rock hard abs in just 6 weeks. Never worked for me. You know, you can be a millionaire in just 6 months if you take this program. You can drink this jungle juice produced by a hidden Himalayan tribe that's one-armed and picks us in the shadow of the Himalayas on the morning of 1 month a year that will give you endless, amazing, explosive sex and orgasms. And we buy this stuff, right? We know it's bullshit, but we buy it. You're not broken. You're not broken at all. You are just you, and that's okay. Like, the world's messy. We're messy. Human beings are supposed to be messy. We're supposed to stuff up and make mistakes and, you know, get back up and have another go. And so don't listen to all the bullshit about you're not good enough, tough enough, strong enough, bright enough, pretty enough. Don't read the magazines or the newspapers. And who wants endless orgasms anyway? Seriously. Some of you want to buy that juice, right? I should have made it. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So we're winding down to morning tea, and I want to do the real work, right? We've had a lot of fun tonight. Come on, let's have some more fun. Let's talk about play. So, no. I don't know why we don't play. I don't know why we get so serious about life and things and that we don't find the enjoyment in it. In fact, on that page there, you've got a little graph that looks like this. Can you score yourself on there? If you were to say how playful you are, so 100% is you are the most fun, you're just so much fun to be around, and people want to hang out with you because you're just so exciting, or 0%, you're related directly to Malcolm Turnbull. Quickly, give yourself a score. Everybody got a score on that one? I'm going to get you to draw another line underneath. And this is how much effort you put into everything that you do. So in thinking about the last week, how hard have you played? How much effort have you put in to not only your business, but your personal life? Like if you were to average it out, what would it be? So who had 100% for both? Oh, really? I want to hang out with you. Everybody hang out with, what's your name? Michael. Hang out with Michael. Because that's the person I want to hang out with. And here's the silly thing. You guys are in this. You're paying money to be in this. And you're not doing that. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get why. You know, here's a startling fact, right? You ready for this? You will die. And some of you soon. So why not play? Why not have fun? And if you're going to do something worth doing, why not play all in? You know, I was working with a doctor from the University of New South Wales last week, and one of his researchers did some work for me that wasn't up to scratch. And he had a conversation with this researcher while I was in his presence. And he said to the researcher, this was gold, right? And I thought about this before I come on stage today. And it'll be something I think about all the time. He said to this researcher, is that your best work? Nothing else needed to be said. Because you could tell by his body language and the look in the eyes. And Andrew just slid the paper back across to him and said, come back when you're done. But how often do we do that? Play 50%, 70%, 80%? It drives me insane. Hearing people at a restaurant with their kids saying, no, shut up, just play on the PlayStation, mum and dad are busy. Or, you know, just do something on your iPad. And then the same people you see when the kids are 19, 20 go, I haven't got a relationship with my kids. Because you didn't play 100% back then. I see people dribbling around in business for 20 years going, oh, it's such a struggle, it's so hard. It's because you bought into a program like this and they didn't do the bloody work. You didn't play hard. You went, well, I played hard for 2 days, I deserve a holiday. It's stupid, right? It's stupid. We need to play like we've never played before. In fact, you need to find ways to bring... Because as kids, everything was play, right? Everything was play. And for some reason, as adults, we've lost the concept of play. So I bring it into my life in a whole heap of different ways, and I think you should too. I've got this thing called positive mischief. So positive mischief is doing little things that don't hurt anybody that's a lot of fun. Things like when you go and play golf with a mate, while he's not looking, you steal his driver and his putter. For those of you who don't play golf, you can't start golf without a driver and you can't finish the hole without a putter. And so when they go to get their driver, I love going, it's all right, mate, I've got two. It's just fun, right? I love the idea of maybe writing some amazing things on pegs and then pegging them on people before you go into an event. That would be fun, right? I like the idea of going out to a restaurant and, we go to a restaurant every year with the same group of couples. We catch up once a year. Been doing it for ages. And it's sort of boring. Because, you get there, you go, how are the kids? Yep, good. How's your job? Yeah, it's all right. Then we start talking about diseases, That becomes a bit of a competition, I broke my elbow last year, I lost a leg. I think they're going to take my head off because... And I go, how do we make this more fun? So We went to a restaurant in Broadbeach last year, and I've gone to the waitress and I said, she's fun, right? She just oozed play and fun. I said, every time you come to our table, and you tell a joke, I'll give you $5. In fact, if any other waiters come, I'll give them $5. Let's make it a competition. I'll give 50 to the winner. She's gone, all right, we're in. So all night, these people are coming up, telling jokes, and everybody at the table's going, this is the best restaurant ever. How good are these people? The rest of the people in the restaurant weren't real happy because they weren't getting any service, because people were standing in the restaurant, in the waiters standing in the back going, what about this joke? And I heard a really good dad joke the other day. What did the Secret Service say when the president's under attack? Donald Duck. See, it doesn't have to be a great joke. And this was what was happening all night, right? Positive mixtures was a great thing. And you guys have been participating. Because some of you had pegs on you. Have a look around. Who's got a peg on them? It'll be on the back of your shirt, on the collar. Stand up if you've got a peg. Stand up if you've got a peg. Steve, Megan. So I gave Megan the job of doing this, and she did a really, really good job, but she was rushed when you were coming in, and she still had 2 or 3 to get rid of. And Steve managed to peg her. Oh, then you got him back! That is playing a bigger game. Some of you have one that says you're amazing, or you're wonderful, you're terrific. Some of you have one that says play bigger. Who has those? You've won a book, you two, thank you. So you get a copy of my book, give them a round of applause. So you need to bring those 2 to me, but the rest of you, your job is to get those pegs onto somebody else between now and lunchtime.
Mine says you've got $100 from the speaker.
No, I think it says you owe $100 to the speaker. Thanks, guys. Positive mischief, great thing. I think ultimately play is an attitude, right? So I have a thing about attitude because I think it changes the game, and I think attitude lies at the heart of being able to play. And this is the equation most people use for attitude. It's the circumstances create the results. So the circumstances are, I got caught in the traffic this morning. The result is I turn up at work and I'm a bit ticked off with the world. Not a good example. All right, let me give you another one. I have 3 beautiful daughters, Katerina, Alexandra and Olivia. They all teenage girls. They all have boyfriends. Sometimes before I leave to go to the office, we sit at the breakfast bar and talk about the quality of those boyfriends. I turn up at the office and I'm a little bit ticked off with the world. Whose fault is it? The boyfriends. Hope you didn't write that down. That's the wrong equation. This is the real equation, right? The real equation is it's the circumstances plus the attitude that we take towards those circumstances. Have you heard the power of positive thinking? Yeah? Good? Crap, I reckon. Because the power of... There's a book called The Secret. And The Secret says that all you need to do, Rowdy, is lie around in the lounge thinking about $1 million. And before you know it, armour guard. That's not going to happen, right? I think positive thinking is a good thing, but it needs to go with something else. Action. That's what creates results. Now I can tell you how I use this equation after Sergeant Jeff Wilkin kicked me in the backside to change my world. How I use this equation to become a professional footballer, to write a best-selling book, to become a speaker, to retire at 34. But the best story I can tell you is how this equation affected the death of my dad. So I was in Tokyo a few years ago talking at an event, or scheduled to talk at an event, and I get a phone call from my little brother Ken to tell me that my father is in Gundawindi Hospital and he's got 48 hours to live. Ken asked me an unusual question. He said, will you be coming home? Reason it was an unusual question is, hadn't seen my father for 17 years. Alcoholic, divorced from my mother, no relationship, no contact, nothing. Same for Ken. The police had tracked him down to tell him that our father was in hospital. So I said to Ken, I'll have to think about it. So I went and told the conference organisers what was going on, and the conference organiser said on the spot, you're not speaking at this conference. I've gone, why not? I'm just letting you know. They've gone, we're not going to be responsible. If you don't go home, we're not going to be responsible. So it's all right. We're happy to for you to stay in the hotel, but you're not speaking at the conference. We'll get somebody else, and you can speak at the conference next year. All good. We're happy. So I've gone, oh, well, I don't want to stay in Tokyo. I'll go home. So I flew back to Brisbane. My little brother flew up from Sydney, grabbed a hire car, headed out to Gundawindi. We're driving out, and it's a bit quiet. I said, Ken, what do you think this is going to be like? He said, it's going to be a bit strange. We don't know him, he doesn't know us, we don't care about him, he doesn't care about us. I've gone, yeah. And my little brother Ken knows me really well. I love him dearly, he loves me dearly, we're like this. He's gone, all right, you got a plan. I've gone, I do. I've been sitting on a plane for 10 hours, and I think that we need to choose the attitude that we take to Gundawindi. He said, what do you mean? I said, right now we're going to turn up and trawl through all the bad stuff. You know, Dad coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning and throwing up all over the house, or you know, having a fight with our older brother on the front lawn, or having a blue with Mum where she breaks every piece of crockery in the kitchen, and you know, we're hiding in the bedroom under the bed thinking, geez, I hope he doesn't come in here. We can talk about all the tough stuff, or we can talk about the good stuff. We can just choose to talk about the good memories that we have. Ken goes, yeah, cool, I'm good with that, let's do that. We're driving along a little bit further, he's gone, there's more in there. We're going, yeah. Because you can't just turn up with a good attitude, you've got to have some actions that will back that up. So here are the 5 things I think we should do. I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to tell Dad that we love him. Now I know right now, just like me, I'm not sure that you do, but if those 3 little words look like tumbling out of your mouth, don't swallow them. If we start to go through this process and you feel like telling Dad that you love him, do it. The second thing we need to do is we need to allow Dad to tell us that he loves us. So if he goes to say, don't go, yeah, it's all right, we understand, so don't worry about it. If he goes to say it, let him do it. The third thing we need to do is we need to tell Dad that we forgive him. And again, just like you, I think that's going to be tough. But if you find it in your heart that you want to say that, you should do it. The fourth thing we need to do is allow Dad to forgive us. Ken goes, forgive us? What's the bastard got to forgive us for? I said to him, imagine lying in the bed that you're going to die in, having never set eyes on any of your grandchildren. He goes, yeah, I'm good with that. And then the fifth and final thing that each of us needs to do in our own time and in our own space is take the time to say goodbye. Ken goes, fantastic. Go there with the right attitude, do those 5 things. We get to Gundawindi Hospital, pull up out the front, 2 doctors meet us out on the steps, say, thank goodness your father is still alive. He's unconscious. He's been unconscious for quite some time. We're not sure whether he'll be conscious again. And they take us into Ward 21 at Gundawindi Hospital, the ward that you don't come out of alive. And we start the process. So we start talking about the good things. You know, I talked about going to my first game of footy and getting my first game of footy boots, scoring my first try. Ken talks about going to Boy Scouts and going on camps. And, you know, we start to have all these wonderful conversations. We talked about getting our first puppy, which is a big thing for boys, right? So we go and get this black Labrador. And we're riding home in the car and we've got this little black Labrador puppy on the back seat. And Dad says, well, you guys can give him a name. So Ken and I fought about a name all the way home, come up with the best name. Called him Blackie. And our Dad lived through that first day and through the first night and into the second day, and we're having some of these conversations, and we started to run out of stories to tell. So we started to recite limericks and poems, you know, the man from Snowy River and the stuff that Dad has taught us as kids. And we run out of those, and by the third day we're starting to sing a song. Starting to sing this song, I'd love to have a beer with Duncan. Stupid song to sing to an alcoholic. But what we would do is we would insert the name of mates, of friends, of neighbours, of people that Dad worked with. My little brother get up off the lounge at 3 o'clock in the morning and he'd start to sing, "I'd love to have a beer with Duncan." And I'd get up and join in, and there'd be a twinkle in Dad's eyes because we all knew that Ken was about to come up with the name of somebody that we hadn't thought of. By this time, the nurses at Gundawindi Hospital would come down when they finished their shift, put a chair outside the door of Ward 21 and sit there with tears pouring down their face as they listened to all of the wonderful things that were going on inside. On the morning of the fourth day, Dad wakes up, got a bit of a smile on his face. Ken and I are standing down the bottom of the bed, and Dad says to us, "I'd like to go to the pub." This is an absolute true story. And we did what you just did, right? We laughed. This man had been in bed for the whole time we'd been there. He's been fed through a tube. We're wiping a wet swab around his mouth so we could have that crackly conversation. There's no way we could get this man out of bed and take him to the pub. Standing next to me was a little red-headed nurse who said, "If your dad wants to go to the pub, I think you should take him." I've got in there some law against that. She's gone to hell with it. After listening to what you two young men have done here for the last 4 days, if I've ever met anybody who deserved to take their dad to the pub, it's you two. So she went and got a wheelchair, 2 leather belts, joined them together, an old straw hat. We got Dad out of bed, put him into that wheelchair, and wheeled him down to the Gundawindi Hotel. And I got to have that one last beer with my father. And if you ever wanted evidence that when you choose your attitude and back it up with the right actions, the game changes, this photo is it. Because had we have taken that photo 5 days earlier, you would have had a cranky old man and 2 bitter and twisted young boys. Instead, I've got a photo that sits on my desk. It inspires me every day of my life. Rowdy, when you play all in, and when you are playful, the world's a much better place. Can you see attitude? Yeah? How can you see attitude? Body language, facial expressions. I reckon you can see it in people's handshakes. Or not see it, but feel it. Turn to the person beside you, shake their hand. Who got the truckie's handshake? You know, the truckie's handshake breaks every bone in your hand. Or what about the leper one, where you think, is that thing going to fall off? We're running out of time. I would demonstrate some handshake, but I want to get through the next 2 points for you. So let's talk a little bit about bigger. So bigger is a mindset. Bigger is that desire to push the boundaries all the time. It's the desire to never settle for second, ever. Just keep pushing on. And it's something you've got to keep working at and test yourself on again and again and again. And the love of my life, Sue's up the back here. We're off to New Zealand in a couple of weeks to ride 500 kilometres in the Hands Across the Water charity ride from the top of the North Island down to Auckland. And we've been doing some training for that, right? But I was up on the Gold Coast the other day and Suze wasn't there, so I went for a ride with a bunch of old mates of mine, like they're in their 60s, late 60s, 70s, and they've got the best bikes and the cleated shoes and everything, and I've just got an old hybrid and a pair of footy shorts. But I'm out with these guys going for a ride, and we're riding up to the end of the Currumbin Valley, which from my place up and back is exactly 50 kilometres, so I'm thinking that's perfect. Anyway, after a while, these old guys got away from me a little bit, and they're heading up to the end, and Corumba Valley, and they turn around and come back and run into me, and I go, I'm just going to keep going to the end. They go, no, come with us. We're going to go down to the dust temple, have a cup of coffee. Don't worry about it. It's all right. You'll be able to keep up with us going down the hill. And they just kept at me, so I've gone, yeah, all right. So I've turned around, and I did. I kept up with them all the way down the hill, and I went to the dust temple and had a cup of coffee with them, and then we all packed up and went our separate ways. And you know what I did? Got back on my bike and rode all the way back up the valley to the very end. That's what the bigger mindset is. And it wasn't something that I even questioned myself about. It was, Rowdy, this morning when you got out of bed, this was your intention, that is what you're going to do, and nothing will get in the way of it. So we need to think about how do we play bigger, and I'll quickly run through. We're going to go 10 minutes over, Steve, is that all right? I'll quickly run you through this model of how to play bigger. So everybody's got their comfort zone. Outside of your comfort zone is your learning zone. Outside of your learning zone is the fear zone. So this is stuff that you're really scared about doing. And outside of that is your impossible zone. That's stuff that can't possibly happen. So here's how you make the impossible possible, right? If you really step into that learning zone, so right now you're in a learning zone, but I wonder how hard you're playing in it. I wonder if you're taking all the ideas and going, I'm doing that 100%, I'm riding to the end of the valley on that. Because if you are, this is what happens. Your comfort zone expands into your learning zone, which means your fear zone is now the stuff that's scary, you're learning. And the impossible stuff, well, not impossible anymore. It's really simple. But you don't step into it. We don't step into our learning zone hard enough. Anybody here run a marathon? Anybody here can run a marathon, I'm telling you. You've just got to decide to do it. Go, that's my learning zone, and get stuck into it. And I could tell you a whole story about running a marathon, but we don't have time to do that. Who loves games? Yeah? I love games. I think games are fantastic. What's your favourite game? Turn to the person beside you. What's your favourite game? What do you love to play? Or what was your favourite game as a kid? Shout them out. What was your favourite game? Well, first of all, who likes sporting games? Board games? Mind games? I'm not playing with you. That's a problem sometimes, isn't it? We go, we don't care about who we play with. We don't make the right choice about who we play with. And I think the bigger problem is some of us are playing with ourselves. I didn't mean now, I mean. But I think in a world where there's so much information, why would you play by yourself? Why would a business owner not be in this room's got me beat? Or a room, it doesn't have to be this room. But what do you guys love to play? Favourite game? Cards? Yep. Basketball. Up the back. Paintball. Quick ad there. Yep. You. Golf. I love golf. I love golf. You know, so we've been through two really important things, right? So you get that you could play harder and have more fun. You get that bigger is a mindset. It's just a way of thinking and then committing. And game is making it into a challenge. Is competing. That's the game. And playing the game is really important. Let's play a game. Hop up for me. So we're about to have the Rock, Paper, Scissors World Series. If America can have a baseball World Series, we can have a Rock, Paper, Scissors World Series in this room. So here's how it works. You partner up with somebody. Do that for me. Now, just watch, just make sure everybody's got this. So that you go 1, 2, 3, and then you either do a rock, paper, or scissors. You know how it works? Okay, partner up with somebody and go. And when you get beat, sit down. Loser sits down. Loser sits down. Partner up again. Partner up again. Keep going till you get a winner. Loser sits down. You got to move. Go and find another partner. Find another partner. All right, stop. Stop. Winners up on the stage. Quick, run, 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 run. Yeah. Good. Partner up. Partner up, quick. All right. On my three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yep. If you're out, down. You two go. You stay. You two go. Here we go. Don't go yet. Don't go yet. Ooh. Hey, rock, paper, scissors, World Series champion. Are you ready? Yep. So you do your own count of 3. Oh. Go again. Oh, who's the winner? Awesome, there you go. Well done. You've won a copy of my book. Give a massive round of applause. Well done. Thank you. See what just happened? See how everybody jumped in. When we go, it's a game and we're going to keep score and we're going to think about the rules and how we're going to play. Who's got to start? You've got to turn it into a game, right? You've got to have sales up there, you've got to have scores, you've got to have competitions, you've got to have challenges, you've got to make it fun, give away trophies. I sometimes have a world's paper, scissors, rock trophy to give away to people. And just make it fun, have fun, be fun, do things that are fun. On the next few pages, well, let's go to the next page, you'll see there's 4 topics: achieve, be, do and have. We're not going to go through those, but some stage I want you to write down what is it that you really want to achieve? So achieve is about, and you can make some notes about what they're about, right? So achieve is about results, targets, percentages, numbers. B is about you. It's how do you want to show up? How do you want to be seen in the community, in your business, in this group? Do is about the bucket list. It's bungee jumping, riding a bike 500 kilometres in New Zealand. It's the bucket list stuff. And have, the first inclination is have is about the money in the bank and the car and the house, the boat. But you can have much more than that. You can have your integrity. You can have responsibility. You can have who you are in society. And that's probably the most important thing that you can go to work on. So just to finish up, go to the last page for me. And up the top, I want you to write down, how are you going to play different now that you've really taken the deep dive into play a bigger game? How will you play different? Write down all the things that came to mind. If you don't have a dozen, you're not playing. So not same old, same old. This is stuff that when you walk out of here this afternoon at 5 o'clock, what's going to be different for you? And I don't just mean from this session, I mean from the sessions that you've already had with David Powell Tabane, Kira Marie, and every other speaker. Fantastic. So the best use of your time in the break is not half an hour out chin wagging and eating donuts and having a cigarette. The best use of your half hour is working on achieve, be, do and have, and that list you're working on right now, as well as up the back of the room buying one of my books off Sue's The Love of My Life. There is one other thing though. Well, let's finish this one off first. On your desk or on your table, you'll see that there's one of these. Can you grab one? So I want you to take that and stick it on the fridge, on the dashboard of your car, stick it to your computer, put it somewhere where you come across it all the time. And it reminds you that you made a commitment here today to play a bigger game, to play differently. And then I've got one last thing for you to do. We're about to go. How far away are we from walking out of the room? 2 minutes? 2 minutes from walking out of the room. What are you going to do differently right now? How will people go, geez, what about that? They are playing differently immediately. So are you going to be brighter, bubblier? Are you going to forget all the negative shit that's going on in the world and just talk about the future? Are you going to not have any conversations about what's wrong in your business but talk about what could possibly be right? Are you going to talk about owning your attitude and showing up in a way that you've never showed up before? What's one thing that you're going to do in the next 5 minutes? So if you can't write down one thing right now, after listening to all those speakers yesterday and listening to me, the game's over. Go and ask for your money back. Go and have a happy life, because nothing's going to happen. But if you manage to write down the one thing, I'd like you to turn to the person beside you and tell them what it is. Now, quickly say to that person, can you check in on me at the break and make sure I'm doing that? Can you check in with me at lunchtime? Make sure I'm doing that. Can you check in with me at afternoon tea? Can you make sure that I'm doing that? Can you call me tomorrow and make sure that I'm doing that? I want to do that so badly. I want you to help me play the game. And just finish off by playing the final game. Stand up for me. Turn to the person beside you, shake their hands, look them in the eye, say, you're amazing! Turn to the person on the other side, look them in the eye, shake their hand and say, you are awesome! Because here's what I believe to be true, ladies and gentlemen. I believe, without one single piece of doubt, that if you can think it, if you can feel it, if you can imagine it, you can do it. You've been fantastic. Thank you for playing a bigger game this morning. Enjoy the break. I'll see you in the next session.